Okay, let's get started. So array is a linear data structure. Linear data structure means where the elements are contiguous, or you have a simple way to go to the next element. So in array you have data of the similar type. So if you have an array of integer, you will have all the elements inside this array, all will be integers. Similarly, if you have an array of string, all the elements that is present inside your array will be string. Okay, you can see this image where I have shown an array with the value a. These are the indices that are provided here, and the first element will be present onto the lower bound and the upper element will be present onto the upper bound. In memory, array will have an address. For example, let's say this a was taking one space, r is present onto 12 because a took one memory space. Okay, but let's say a was taking two memory spaces. At that time, the r should be present at memory address 13 because two spaces were taken by a. Okay, so whatever space is required to a, that will take the space, and after that space next element will be present. Index always starts from the 0. If you want to insert the data, the first data will be inserted at the 0th index. We should insert the first element onto the 0th index and so on. Okay, so if I am talking about size will be whatever maximum index you have plus 1 because it started from 0. So now let's talk about characteristics of an array. So it has a fixed size. Fixed size means what? This is the memory present for your JVM, and inside this memory you decided to take some space for your array. Whenever you were defining your array, you also define the length of your array, and that's how only that space has been occupied. That means once your array is completely filled, you will not able to add one more data to this. Then is sequential access. Sequential access means what? You have all the elements present onto the index starting from 0 to n-1. All the elements are present sequentially. So all the elements can be accessed sequentially via the indexes. Then after next, another characteristics is contiguous memory. So the elements that are stored in array are just next to each other. So again, it's a contiguous memory. It's not like that some data is present here and another number of your array is present here. No, right? So the memory has been allocated by all the elements in a contiguous manner. Then ordered and indexed. 0. So let's say you inserted 10 onto the 0th index and you inserted 12 onto the first index. So that means you inserted it in a manner, right, that the 0th index has a value 10. So that means it is ordered. Then what is the advantage of using array? So it has efficient data storage. It's contiguous allocation of the memory. So that means it's efficiently using your memory space, right? Then random access, direct access to element is possible. So let's say this was your array. I only wanted to access the element which is present onto the third index. So that is also possible. So you can access one element randomly as well, and because contiguous allocation is there, so that's why it is efficient. Randomly you can access. And versatility, why it is versatile? Because you can have different or various data types, right? You can also have an array of custom class. So you can also have an array of your primitive data types. So now what are the operations that you can perform? By writing this statement int array number and then new int. Now you have to define the size. That's how you can do the initialization. Then if you want to actually access the first element, you have to say first element will be present onto the 0th index. So it will be numbers 0. If you want to modify the element, you will say numbers.0 should be equals to this. So now what you did, you assigned 42 the number of 0, right? Then if you want to traverse all element, you have to have a for loop which is starting from 0 to number.length I++, and one by one it is just printing every element, right? It is doing the traversing. Then after that, if you want to search an element, so what you will do, you will just have a for loop, right? This is the for loop, and then after you will start checking whether number I is equals to target. If what the number of I is actually what is you were looking for, that means you searched it. So you will just return true, or otherwise you will return false. So searching is also possible, right? So these all are the operations that you can perform onto your array. Let's talk about the complexities in your array. So let's say you have an array. I'll draw it here. Let's say this was your memory, this was your array, and your array is filled. So that means there is no space present inside your array. Now you wanted to insert one more element. So what you have to do, you will take some space with extra size, right? With more space, with more spaces, right? So what you will do, you will move every element here. So let's say whatever was present onto 0th index, you will move it into the new one. Second element will also be here, and that's how every element will be present here, and whatever space you have, you will insert your new element, right? So that means if you actually want to insert one element inside your array, when the array is full, the complexity will be order of n, because you are traversing the older array and inserting the data into the new array. So that's how it is order of n. But when the array is not full, at that time you can insert any element in order of 1, because you know that what is the index that is free, and then you can just insert the data. If your array is not full, at that time you can say the complexity for inserting the data is order of 1. Deletion at end, let's say again this was my array, I wanted to delete this data, I'll just delete this data in order of 1. So deletion at end will be order of 1. So let's say I want to delete an element from in between. Let's say I wanted to delete this element. An array should be contiguous, right? Whenever you want to delete the data from the middle, you have to write 1 1, and this one will be deleted, and this element will be present onto the third index. You have to move all the remaining elements, because every element will be moved to the previous index. So that's why the deletion in between can go till order of n. It's the worst case. Let's say you wanted to delete first element, second element will come on to the first place, third element will come on to the second place, right? And so on. So the deletion in between will be order of n. Now if you want to retrieve any element, so no matter what, if you wanted to retrieve any element present on any index, it will be order of 1, right? Because you don't need to move the data, or you don't need to traverse it. So if you know the index, you can just get the data. If you want to update any element, so again, because you don't need to retrieve every element for updation, you will just do number, then whatever index you wanted to update, I, and then whatever value you want to update it with. So that's how you can do the updation in order of 1. So that was the basic introduction with array. I know most of the people are aware about this, but just a quick revision. So in the next class, we will be talking about two-pointer approach. Yeah, and see you in next video. Thank you so much.